What is the best accidental nudity you have seen? When I was a junior in high school, I had a math teacher that was probably in her late 20s or early 30s. One day, near the end of the first semester, she was wearing a dress of sorts. Now, this was in Florida, so it wasn't getting cold at all, and she was trying to reach something off the top shelf near her desk when the two straps holding up her dress just snapped, and the entire dress fell to her feet. But sure, she was still wearing panties. The other dress didn't hide bra straps, and well, that was nice. I didn't have her the second semester, and from what I heard, she got into some trouble for wearing inappropriate attire for a teacher and had been suspended for the first month of the semester. What? You're kidding! Inappropriate attire just because her dress falls off in front of a bunch of high schoolers? You bunch of prudes. And all it takes is one kid in the class to report what happened. I also feel like maybe this woman needed to get some better fitting clothes. Your dress might be a tad too loose fitting if the moment that your straps break, it beelines for the floor. Just saying. When I was in 3rd grade, we had a really pretty red-headed student teacher. I can't remember her name, but I remember she was teaching us French for some reason. Apparently, she spoke it really well. I'm not sure why that'd be a part of a 3rd grade experience, but one day she came over to help me at my desk with something and leaned on my desk and bent over. For whatever reason, she decided not to wear a bra that day, and right in front of my face, swinging in her dress, were the biggest boobies I had seen up to that point. It was glorious. I truly believe that that event changed me and set the type of woman I've been into ever since. It was certainly a formative experience. And it was from that point on little Johnny knew that he preferred redheads. Never mind the crazy behavior and tempers, he was all in on redheads, darn it. As a kid, I always went to summer camp in a different state, and we would often take multi-day canoe trips around the general area. But on one of these trips, after a long day of paddling down a river, the trip leader decided to stop on an island and set up camp for the night. As the day progressed, the sunshine turned to rain, and before we knew it, it was a full-on monsoon. As me and a bunch of other boys huddled around a tarp, someone pointed out two people swimming on the other side of the river. We noticed it was 2 guys and a girl and continued to watch. And before we knew it, the girl stands up, revealing that she is actually completely nude. In fact, all 3 were skinny dipping. So, being teenage boys, we began to yell and wave at them, asking if they would like any s'mores while taking turns looking through the binoculars. We thought they would be embarrassed, however, they weren't fazed by this. And one of the dudes began to swim over. I will never forget the look on his face as he got closer and realized that we were a bunch of little kids. Needless to say, we gave him a s'more. When I was 16, walking to school on a soggy morning, saw my art teacher in her minivan changing her clothes. Normally, you can't really see into the side passenger area windows, well, because they were semi-tinted, a deeper color, but it just stopped raining a bit earlier, and the sun came through the clouds and shined down on the car, lighting it and the area, in general, up very bright. And I could see right into the car window. Mind you, my art teacher was 29 at the time, fit and moderately attractive, full-on boobies. I was 14 in 9th grade, and that was probably one of the best days at school that followed thereafter. I was in London and my sister and I got last-minute tickets to see Patrick Stewart live in the theater. We have amazing seats, 3rd or 4th row center. So at one point in the play, Patrick Stewart sits down on a folding chair right in the center in front of us. He was wearing loose shorts and his freaking balls were showing through the shorts. They were huge. It was glorious and incredibly awkward at the same time. The whole scene, he's just balls out. I still can't look at him without thinking, dude, I've seen your balls. I guess it's not really accidental because she dropped hints later that it was intentional. At the time, I thought it was. I went on a date with a coworker while waiting for her to get ready in her living room. I could see her fully nude in the reflection in a mirror on a door. She had a ridiculously awesome figure, too. Handed the Verizon guy my phone to get it turned back on. Opened Safari, and the first thing that popped up was the best pic of my boobies to date. We both just laughed it off. I was on a Mediterranean cruise in the summer, so the top deck was filled with people sunbathing. This one lady with rather large boobies was sunbathing with her family and taking off her bikini straps, as some of them do to avoid tan lines, I guess. Anyway, she accidentally dropped it, and I got a full long view of one of her boobies. She looked around to see if anyone noticed, caught my eye, and gave me a cheeky grin before I looked away, blushing. I install security alarms, cameras, sensors, and locks. On one install, I placed a camera in the master bedroom like the husband had asked, while I was still there installing, I was checking the cameras and finishing up the tests. And the wife came out of the bathroom completely naked from the shower, so I hastily tried to exit the screen. But the husband, who was peering over my shoulder, told me not to, and just stared at his naked wife while I was in between him and the screen. When I was about 6, I was at the ocean with my parents. My dad was playing with me in the breaking waves on the beach, and I saw a rough wave wash over this young lady a few feet from us, and it totally swept her bikini bottom off. I couldn't believe it, and no one, including her, seemed to be aware for several long seconds. It was a massive, late 1970s bush. I saw it before my dad and pointed and yelled, "Look at the hair!" My dad was up to speed pretty quickly and swept me up, facing me the other way as a guy appears with the woman who somehow found her bikini before it was lost forever. She was sitting down in the water when he brought them over and said, "You lose something?" I learned a lot that day. When I was working as a PR on a TV show, we filmed an episode of the fashion show. I spent the evening wandering around backstage, getting models to sign releases. Most of them were naked or half naked. So, best work day of my life. At a party in 8 years, my best friend got hammered and passed out on the front lawn halfway through. I was hanging with my other buddy and his girlfriend, who was also hammered when he decided to go check on my best friend. He asked me to make sure his girlfriend didn't do anything stupid while he was gone. She flashed me. I failed him. "You had one job, man." I was at my friend's beach house when I was 16, and she had a really hot sister that was about 20 at the time. We were watching TV in the living room, and she comes in to hang out with us wearing a t-shirt and loose-fitting shorts. Looked more like boxers, to be honest. She sat near me and put her legs up in such a way that I had a marvelous view of her lady parts through the baggy leg of the shorts. I tried not to stare, but it was pretty cool. Was at an indoor water park waiting in line for the attraction that simulates surfing. Well, there was this really cute girl up and she bails face first. Now, if you know of these attractions, you know that there is a lot of force behind the water. And as it turns out, it is enough force to completely remove a person's bikini, both top and bottom. Must have been really embarrassing for her, but I liked the piercings. When I was living in New Zealand, one night my roommate brought home some guy from the bar and they had done it on the couch. It just so happened that the couch was on the opposite side of the wall from my bed, so I heard it all. But that's beside the point. The next morning I woke up to a text from a different roommate that there was a naked guy on the couch. I casually went to the bathroom to sneak a peek, and he was in all of his glory passed out on the couch. The roommate who brought him home was nowhere to be found. We later found her curled up on the bathroom floor, also naked. And now they're married. The end. A female friend of mine was getting ready for her sister's wedding. She was sending me snaps of herself asking questions like a necklace or number to me and her boyfriend, and she accidentally sent me a picture of her boob hanging out of the dress she was wearing. I was in middle school and I was walking behind a girl in high school who was wearing a dress with no panties. The wind picked up when we got off the train and I thought I was the only one who noticed. She didn't even seem to care. Later, I found out that another boy saw it too, and we are best friends to this day. I used to work in an electronics store. We regularly had promos, staff, and reps in on the weekends to sell their stuff in stores. This particular weekend, we had 3 models in promoting some camera or whatever. So late afternoon, I go into the customer collections room where reserve stock is kept to look for an item. As I'm clearly in there looking for something, these 3 girls burst in and start stripping off their branded dresses to change and go home. In shock, I say, "Do you want me to get out?" And they're like, "No, it's okay." Then some checkout girl comes in and laughs, gasps, and then drags me out. Checkout girl just doesn't understand. Smoking hot girl going down a water slide, her bikini top got caught and came off. She had some very nice boobies. That reminds me of the first time I saw a 60-year-old man going down a water slide, and he was going so fast, his bathing suit fell off, and I just stood there, staring at his big, beautiful, hairy balls flopping around. During college, I was drunk at a party that ended up moving to a local bar. One of the hot girls in the class ahead of me came up to me and this other dude, the other dude I guess had a bet with her or something, and took her walking up as the perfect time to remind her. He said, "Remember, you still need to flash me for who cares what it was." She gives him an annoyed look and then just flashes the both of us for a good 5 to 10 seconds. Very nice boobs. Would look again. I was around 16 at the time and I'd left my house after my sister and her two friends came over, one of which is just absolutely banging with an amazing body about who I have thought about maybe once or twice. Anyway, nobody else was home. They got something in my room, so I ran back in, but I guess nobody heard me coming. So I walked down the hallway to my room and past my sister's doorway, which was open. I glance over and my brain locks me into place. Mid-stride jaw hits the floor, while it burns the image of her butt naked, cupping her breasts. They all look over at me and scream, but I can't look away. She runs toward me and closes the door. I ran to my room, took a few minutes to savor what I saw, and left.